Hey guys, welcome to another episode of MedHead, and you guys voted for the #1 video to be things that I wish I knew about medical school before starting. And I definitely think this is a topic worth talking about, being in my 4th year and having gone through at least 3 years. I think that I have learned things along the way that kind of aren't necessarily always shared when you are going to start medical school. With that in mind, remember that I am my own person. I have my own standards, my own set of circumstances. The context is different, but overall, many of these things that I talk about have been agreed upon by my friends, classmates, and I think that they can be definitely helpful. I will be doing the other videos soon, but we're gonna get this one done. As you guys have seen throughout my other videos, I do love cooking, I love plants, I love sharing my hobbies with you guys, so I thought why not cook while I get to have this chat with you. Some of the pointers are longer, some of them are shorter, so with that in mind, let's get started. So today we're going to be doing a shrimp and feta with roasted cherry tomatoes actually, and basil kind of pasta dish. I don't know what to call it. As you can probably tell, I just had a bunch of ingredients in a line. So with the first pointer being that the first 2 years are the best time to figure out what you're most interested in. I don't think that, there is a timeline for when you're too late, too early. There are a lot of 4th years who are still figuring out what they want to do, and that is okay. As a general rule of thumb, however, just for creating your CV and your personal statement and getting those things curated to fit what you want to do, it's best to kind of come up with a couple things that you are interested in those first 2 years and work on those things steadily throughout time. I think that this kind of allows you to shadow, ask people questions, and involve yourself in research or clubs that kind of focus on what you want to do. In general, I came into medical school knowing at least 2 or 3 things that I was interested in, and it just so happened for me that what I'm applying to happens to be one of those 3 things that I came in wanting to do. It's okay if that's not the case for you. The point kind of still stands that you want to make sure that you have those top 2 or 3 specialties kind of figured out during the first 2 years of school, so you can continue to make your application fit for that later on. The second point is going to be that medical school is going to be full of cycles of getting comfortable, and once you get comfortable, there's going to be a new task, a new environment, a new setting that you're going to have to be uncomfortable with again. And I think being uncomfortable is definitely something that is okay. Lots of people who are able to sit in being uncomfortable are definitely equipped to experience and handle things that are high pressure. However, with that being said, I think being uncomfortable is not fun, so it's definitely not something that you want to do. I don't think anybody wants to be uncomfortable. So it's about the balance and essentially making sure that when you're uncomfortable, you want to make sure that you focus on getting to an area that's less and less comfortable as time kind of goes on. Ways to figure out where I want to go when I start feeling this uncomfortable feeling. Making sure you have more of an active plan, not necessarily something that needs to be the same plan for each situation, nor are you going to get over the uncomfortable feeling at the same rate for different situations, and that's definitely okay. And in medical school, you're going to, in most situations, need to be uncomfortable for some portion of time before you can feel comfortable. With that, my third realization was that flexibility is going to wax and wane in medical school a lot, and you're gonna have to kind of keep up with that. As far as the years that are the most flexible, I'm lucky because I've been one of them, but the most flexible years are definitely, for me, your first and your last years. It might feel like your first year that you're going to be overwhelmed with a lot of things going on, and it can be overwhelming. I am not saying that it's not going to be. However, I do think that with being able to focus on your studies and having time out of the class, you definitely have the most there. With second year, you're having a better time adjust to the class scenario because you've had first year to do that. But I do think that whenever step 1 comes up and you have more responsibilities, it starts to get a little bit more busy there. With third year, obviously you have clinicals and you have to study. That is undoubtedly, is that a word? Undoubtedly, definitely the hardest year. And I think a lot of people can agree with that, but it can also be the most rewarding year, which I think a lot of people will agree with as well. But 4th year is a time of figuring out how to get your application lined up, starting to put the last finishing touches on it, and kind of experiencing things that you're not going to be able to experience as a student again during that time. With the change in flexibility, that brings us to our other discovery, the existence of a golden weekend. But essentially a golden weekend is a normal weekend. It's when you get both of your days for the weekend off. And for a lot of people, that is a normal thing. In medicine, it can be, depending on your specialty or what you're doing. But a lot of the times, people will have to work 1 or 2 days during the weekend. If you have to work 2 days during the weekend, they often call that a black weekend. But a golden weekend is essentially when you get to have that time off during that whole weekend, and that is definitely something to celebrate. My next thing is going to be essentially working out and eating healthy in medical school. I feel like that is a big topic, especially because as healthcare providers, we're supposed to be the ones who are going to be practicing what we preach. That's not always the case. It's kind of hard to do that in medicine, and that is ironic considering what we tell patients. There are a lot of things that can kind of get in the way of being able to go to the grocery store or meal prep or exercise. And at the end of the day, it kind of is a realization that we do only have 24 hours in the day. You kind of have to prioritize what you need to, what's most important to you, what you have to get done. But when it comes down to it, eating healthy and exercising in medical school is possible. It's just very difficult to do if you are having a lot of things go on. Falling off and getting back on the healthy bus is going to be a thing that happens for you if you're anything like me or the average medical student really. But it is possible with some planning, some prioritizing, and thinking ahead. My next pointer is something that you will hear a lot. I think a lot of people say this. I don't know if I truly believed it until medical school, but you are not your test score. I think going into medical school, your tests are what gets you where you want to be. Your MCAT scores, your GPAs. It's really hard to believe the phrase, you are not your test score. Most schools are trying to move to doing holistic interviews. I know my school is, but when you get to medical school, there are going to be so many tests, there are going to be so many assessments. It's very easy to put in a lot of work and not get the results that you really believe you deserve, and that is normal. It's easier said than done, but believing that everybody's in medical school for a reason, and you're there for a reason. This is boiling if you can hear it, sorry, it's kind of loud. But because you didn't get that honor or because you didn't high pass does not mean that you are a lesser student. You are going to be less positioned, you're going to be less equipped, less knowledgeable. It's a test score, and that's really what it is at the end of the day. Next is pace yourself, but not too much, which is probably a little controversial. Some people really like to go, and other people like to take their time. And I think the best place is really in the middle. Medical school has so much material. You're gonna go at paces that you don't really want to go to, but have to. And a lot of the times, you're not gonna really have much control over your pace, but sometimes you will. And when it comes to studying and doing research projects, being a participant of clubs, volunteering, make sure that you are pacing yourself, but not too much, because medical school is going to go by faster than you really think it will. And I know that sounds crazy. With pacing yourself, you just have to keep in mind that time will keep going by, and you have to make sure that you don't put yourself under so much pressure that it's unhealthy, it's too much for you to handle, but that you're not being complacent and that you're constantly looking for new ways to grow, looking for new ways to develop and gain other perspectives. Next is the fact that you're going to get to third year of medical school and you're gonna be so busy, you're gonna think, I need to study, I need to go to clinic, and those things don't necessarily have to be mutually exclusive. Studying can be something you do in the hospital, the clinic, wherever your rotation is during third year. You actually learn mostly from those patient interactions. I felt like it stuck the most if I got to see that patient and follow them for that disease course, for that treatment plan, for that management, for the prognosis, all those things. I would make note and remember that this is something that I can attach a memory key to, essentially. So make sure that you're making the most out of patient encounters, deliberately, actively making sure that you have a memory tied to that, because at the end of the day, that's going to kind of come back to you during tests and will be helpful down the line anyway as an actual physician. My next advice is to filter the advice that you get, including from me, because honestly, like I said in the beginning of this video, we're all different people, and I can give as much advice as I would like, but I can only tell you what worked for me, what I've heard works for others, and kind of give you that in a nice box. But You can't really stay in that box because you are your own person. You can pick and choose what people tell you that works for them and apply it to you. You don't have to take everything, you don't have to leave everything. You're gonna hear so much advice over the time of the 4 years and throughout your medical career, honestly, and you know yourself best, so make sure you keep that in mind. And the final thing that I wish I knew before medical school is that you are more than capable. I think most people going into medical school, at least I, had an inkling that I would do okay, that I would finish. Most people that start medical school do end up finishing. I think that medical school is hard. I think that it is doable, however, and it's definitely something that takes different levels of effort for different people. Sometimes it's easy to lose sight of being able, that you are good enough, and essentially the phrase imposter syndrome is really hard to get rid of. But if I can do it, I know that anyone can do it, and I know that's easier said than done, but it's true. You are capable and you can do it. So with that last one, I'm gonna close out. This is the final product. I'm happy with it. I think I have not tasted it yet, the final thing, but I will do that off camera because I eat very strange. I don't want that to be on camera on the internet to see. But with that being said, I'll see you guys later. I'll be doing a vlog for a week in the life of a medical student in the next video. And keep sending in suggestions because I'm definitely looking at those and planning on doing them. But I'll see you on the next episode of MedHead.